Well, this channel really is a mystery. The mystery of why does it exist? Just looking at some guy's books, going through the whole collection, describing it all. What? Soon there will be 400 videos on this channel. That's ridiculous. I guess they have value to me as raw material for some sort of potential weird documentary or something. What's up, kitty? How's it going, Pris? You really wreck a lot of my shots that I try to get you in. So let's see, we were looking at poetry. Here's the poetry shelf. It's a pretty random mix, TBH. I have removed middle third. My video about book hoarding got a lot of views for this channel. I mean, the most watched video on this channel has like 2,500 views. It's called Maybe Science Books Could Be Your Friend. It must have gotten shared by somebody with a good readership into bookish stuff or something. A very short introduction was a bit popular as well. But it's been a while. I've been in the way low numbers on this channel lately, and honestly I'm torn about whether I should care. The Dostoevsky video did really well too. But what I consider well would be abysmal for some other creator. Anyway, I think I'm helped by not caring all that much about this project. It's kind of liberating. And lately I've been doing better where I write more than I make videos. So it's like, that's good. That's an important balance. My car had problems today. Got towed. Ugh. People would be horrified about my life if they knew how close to the edge I live. Ugh. I had a dream that Bukowski and Dostoevsky were like my patron saints, were watching over me. I woke up and I was like, that tracks. I'm a Dostoevsky super fan, but I was always just like a casual Bukowski fan, but I'm like, that tracks. So I already looked at this one. Oh, it's because I started to do a video and then I found like a medical paper in one of the books and it had a bunch of my private information on it. So I cut the video out. It's not a good thing to put on the internet, you know, you can't be a moron. You can't have a video that just flashes once on the screen all your like most personal health information, like insurance stuff. Might even have my social security number, so. Suddenly my hand is shaking. What's that about? But my car being in the shop meant walking from my kid's house to my apartment, which I think is about 3 miles, I think. And it felt long, and I stopped and bought a small bunch of groceries, 3 plastic bags full at Albertsons between here and there. So I had that to carry for the last bit. It was fine. The clouds were absolutely amazing. I just wanted to be filming them the whole time. It was like walking through an abstract expressionist art gallery, but on an epic land art scale. I think it must have made me tired though, because I'm like shaking or something. I'm noticing it with holding this camera. What? Because I had those bags in my hand the whole time. I'm so old. Creature, first poetry book from Rebecca Aronson, who created the Bad Mouth reading series in Albuquerque. Albuquerque's probably biggest literary salon. You could call Sunday Chatter that too. But yeah, I want to start a reading series. I feel like I should use my cool apartment to like have a bunch of hipsters in here, like it's Greenwich Village, 1964, 1959. But Rebecca's great, and her husband Tim is great, and that series is really like an important institution in Albuquerque now. Amy Beater, my old poetry teacher, friend, awesome person. I thought this was inscribed. Oh yeah. To Mike with much admiration for your work. Yeah. She was a great teacher. I learned so much from her, and I just got great poet vibes from her. She kind of reminded me of Amy Mann, just this high-level poetic genius creator. She also had she had a cool like political streak too. Like she had been an election volunteer in all these foreign countries. And I remember there's a nice mix of tones and elements in here. Like she'll bring in pop culture elements once in a while, like Captain Haddock from the Tintin comics. Oh, that struck me. Lucy Tapahanzo, great poet. Indigenous poet. What tribe is she from? Diné, Navajo. She's cool though. She's also on the board at this famous old theater here in town. that now has a dance studio in it, dance company. My kids have been involved with that, so I've run into her there, but I also talked with her at UNM a bunch. She ended up at a reading that I gave of my essay, Some Thoughts on Leanne. That's a chapter of book 1 of my book. And afterward, at an outdoor meal at Justin St. Germain's house, which I drove by for the first time the other day. His old house. I had a nice conversation with her there. But she's a good poet and writes well, of New Mexico. I think it was her that wrote, I forget, but this has a really cool, that's cool that it has a CD multimedia experience. This is one of my most treasured poetry books. I love this book. It's doing that horrible new plastic cover thing where it bunches up. Wisława Szymborska, Sounds, Feelings, Thoughts. This was traded to me for another book, Going After Cacciato, on my hike across the country with a group back in 2001 by the most amazing young woman named Kathy, this writer who is really an excellent writer and poet, living in this dramatic, weird, wild family that she eulogized really beautifully. I found her obituaries for her parents online. Whoa, when I was writing about that time. They're so beautiful. I used them in the script about the hike that became a chapter of my book. The book is all different forms. So one of the chapters is a mini-series script. When this book's in the world, the few people who watch this channel will be like, we have heard so much about that book for so long. But this will be the year that I finish book 1. I mean, I just got to do these 7 interviews. But I just wrote the introduction. I'm just cleaning it up right now. All I have left is the afterword and a portion of one chapter. Front cover. Spine. Shadows of Clouds on the Mountains. Back cover. And the life in writing. That's my synopsis. Speaking of that essay, Some Thoughts on Leanne, that I wrote, here it is in an old literary journal. I'll check that out. Editor's Award Nonfiction Finalist. I don't think I won it, though. I know I didn't. Yeah, here's the winner. I'm fine. But that form of that essay was totally inspired by a poem in here by Travel Elegy, where she conflates 2 different present tenses. The present tense of herself in her memory, and then the present tense of her remembering these memories and writing it down. Like she remembers only a bridge and a half of Bridget Leningrad. This is great. Living in Boston in the year 2000, Wisława Szymborska was in vogue. And when I encountered this book in Maine, staying with Kathy and her family, with that group, I had heard of it before from my old housemates who were all very literary. What a miraculous life I've had at times, and I really have taken it for granted. I lived in this house where everybody was a writer or an artist in Boston, 14 Hamlin Street in Cambridge. And my upstairs neighbors had a library room in their house. I'm like, you guys are awesome. They had a band that played every night, just everyone would get their instruments out and jam. Life, man. This is really a favorite. I love this book, Actual Air by David Berman. He has a band, the Silver Jews, that is apparently great, but I don't really know their music. I think I remember hearing it, but there were a lot of bands that kind of sounded like Soltero, and I just always preferred Soltero. I'm thinking of this real specific alternative singer-songwriter sound that was in vogue in the early 2000s. Sadly, this guy took his own life, but there are some great poems in here. I love the one that's if there was a poem about this hallway. There's another good one about him and his little brother seeing a snow angel, and he tells his brother that it was an angel that got shot and fell there. This is not from Paperboy. It's from Nemawill Nomad, oldest man to ever hike the Appalachian Trail, who was also a friend of all of us on the hike, and that hike across the country. And he writes these rhyming mountain ballad type poem, very specific thing, but not ineffective if you hear them read by or performed by him in the mountains. The phrase we'd always say when we did impressions of him was, "the energy of the mountains." But I was just talking with my sister Jess recently, and I was like, he was right about the energy of the mountains. She was like, yes, of course. Mountains do have an amazing energy. Tony Hoagland, awesome. Oh, this is like an ARC from my Bookworks days. When I was published in Tin House, he was in that same issue, and he gave me great feedback.